Hey, welcome to Cow Free Kicks. On this channel I review leather free sneakers only, and this video is all about an OG classic from Nike. It is the Nike Air Max 180 Ultramarine. Welcome to the channel. When I review a pair of sneakers, I always look into 5 different categories, and at the end of the video, I will give these Nike Air Max 180s an overall rating out of 5 stars. If you do like what you see as you're going along and you want to show a little bit of extra support for the channel, please do not forget to click the little thumbs up like button below on your device. And whilst you're down there, and if you've not done so already, please do take the time to subscribe to the channel. All of your support is greatly appreciated. So let's start this review off of this absolute OG monster by checking them out on feet. Nike have brought back this absolute classic from 1991 as part of their Cult Classic Releases collection, only available currently in this Ultramarine colorway. The Ultramarine blue, you can see here, sits on the swoosh on both the inside and outside of the sneaker, and then you get hits of this Volt red that encase this iconic Nike Air Max 180 midsole Air unit. Then you've got more of this big kink towards the heel of the unit. You've got the classic Nike Air embroidery on the heel of the shoe, and then as you move towards the top of the tongue, this big print of the 180 that you get as well. A couple of the things have changed from the original, which we'll talk about in more detail. Firstly though, this is the only colorway that's currently been released of this reimagined, re-released cult classic Nike Air Max 180. There are a few other colorways floating around on social media and the web that I've seen that I think are going to release later in the year, and these have been quite hard to get hold of, but there are loads of pairs on the secondary market if you are interested in buying them. They are very much similar to their original release, so the colorway is pretty much identical. The shoe itself is made from a faux suede upper. It's incredibly soft. You can see those overlays there sitting on a classic foam kind of neoprene touch feel that sits in the toe box. As you move towards the middle of the shoe, you've got more of a perforated, scratchy like nylon material that the swoosh sits on, just only appearing in the middle of the sneaker here. As you move towards the back of the sneaker, again, you've got more of this faux suede with this hardened plastic TPU casing for the heel unit. Again, the embroidery you get there on the inside of the sneaker, and it's exact mirror of the outside of the foot. And then in the midsole of the sneaker, you've got the classic 180-degree Nike Air Max unit. You can see there that it runs right throughout the outsole of this waffle cut sneaker. I love the color hits that you get with the outsole of the shoe as well, with the ultramarine blue and then the hits of this Volt red again. And you just look at that, the size of this Air unit here. These have been given the big bubble treatment, so this is a larger Air unit than would have featured in the original that was released in 1991, much bigger than you would have seen there. And also the upper has been upgraded a little bit. That's mainly through the materials. You've got standard lacing, just standard flat lacing with these, and then again at the top of the tongue you've got the Nike Air 180 branding. Overall, I just think they look absolutely amazing in hand and on feet. I'm so happy to finally have a pair in hand and on feet, and just I'm a massive sucker for the classics that were released in the 90s, and to see this reimagined with an even bigger air bubble is great. Now, one thing to mention about the air bubble, it's not a standard air bubble that you would find on a pair of Nike Air Max. Normally, you would find that you could squeeze just here and you'll be able to squeeze in the Nike Air Max window. But the feature that was with the original release and that's been carried over with this re-release is the fact that this is fully encased in hardened plastic that runs through here. This whole unit that is sat into the midsole is fully encased in hardened plastic. So it's very hard to the touch, and it's completely encased and absolutely solid. No way you can push it in with your fingers, but again, that's an ode to the structure and the way that they've created it to completely encase it. But in a way, it does sit a little bit closer to the ground because there's no further midsole underneath this other than the hardened plastic. Overall, I just think they're incredible. Now I want to move on to their comfort, where I want to put this larger, big bubbled Nike Air Max 180 midsole unit to the test on my back doorstep. So as with the originals, this remastered version for 2024 comes with a fully encased in plastic Nike Air Max 180 unit. Now that sits inside of a polyurethane foam. That foam runs from toe to heel, incredibly large at the rear of the sneaker there, but that's mainly because it has to encase this huge big bubble Nike Air Max unit. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't translate to great comfort underfoot because this is incredibly firm. This polyurethane foam, really firm. In fact, it's impossible to press this in. And again, with the Nike Air Max unit, even though you've got a big bubble unit in there, and there is some give and some bounce back, because it's encased in this incredibly hardened plastic to make sure that it runs throughout the foot, it's really firm under feet. Now on top of your feet there is some relief because you get a really nicely padded heel, padded inside of the sneaker. The tongue of the shoe here is actually sewn in across the middle of the foot and then sewn into the bottom of, just at the bottom of the laces here towards the toe box. So that actually is sewn in, doesn't come out. And that feels really soft as well. And then further into the inside of the sneaker, you've got more of soft foam detailing underneath this foam material that you get with the toe box of the shoe. So on top of your feet, they feel absolutely great, but underneath your feet, do not expect them to offer you anything other than a firm ride. Now, fit-wise, they're absolutely true fit for me. Perfect length UK size 10 feet I have, and this fits them nicely. And also I've got slightly wider than average feet, but the toe box for these does sit a little bit wide. Also the foot opening on these is wide too. They do run quite wide, this shoe, so they are quite good for people like myself that have slightly wider than average feet. But I wouldn't go for any sizes up or sizes down. For me, these are a true Nike fit, but just a bit of a disappointment when it comes to comfort. Now I want to move on to the weight, where I want to pop them on the scales. Possibly some of their heavier sneakers I'm going to wear all year, but you've got to take into account the fact that they've got this hugely hardened plastic encased 180 Air Max unit in the rear of the sneaker with a huge amount of this polyurethane foam to make up for that, to encase it and then to run throughout the rest of the midsole. And then on top of the foot, you've got all this padding in the rear, all of these faux suede overlays, this dense foam material in the toe box. They weren't going to be anything else other than heavy. As soon as I got them out of the box, I was a little bit surprised at how heavy they were, and it does impact the comfort having a heavy pair of shoes. So not only are they firm underfoot the ride, but they also are very heavy as well. Now I want to move on to their breathability to see how breathable this thick foam upper is. Possibly one of the weirdest shoes I've ever ran through the breathability test, but it is explained in the materials in the upper. You could see that a huge amount of smoke escaped from this sneaker, but only where this scratchy perforated nylon is in the middle of the foot on both sides of the shoe. The smoke escaped from there incredibly quickly and in incredibly large amounts because it's very well perforated and very thin. But the toe box of the sneaker didn't let any smoke out, and that's where you've got this heavier, denser foam material that encases pretty much the whole front section of the sneaker. And because that also encases the rear of the shoe, the only place you're actually getting breathability is from the middle sections of the sneaker. And unfortunately that means that they're not going to be the most breathable shoe out there. But it's nice to see that they do offer some breathability, because in a lot of these remakes, this foam heavy dense material you see in the toe box runs throughout the sneaker, so they don't really offer any breathability. So the fact they offer some is a little bit of a bonus. Now I want to talk more about their price. Now these set me back £135, which is a pretty fair price for a sneaker these days. I do think it's possibly too high though, for the fact that you're not getting as much comfort and they're very heavy and as much breathability as I'd like to see for that price. So maybe the pricing could be looked at, and it would have been nicer to see them a little bit lower, maybe the 125, but I think 135 is okay. Now that's going to bring me on to my overall score for these sneakers, and it's going to absolutely pain me to only give these 3 stars, but I really can't with the scoring system give them any more. I absolutely love this shoe, and I love the way they look, I love the way they come from, I love the fact that it's a 91 remake, I love the style behind them, the history behind them. I just think this paved the way for like Air Max units to go into basketball sneakers like the Jordans. So it's just one of those shoes that should really be getting more, but just because they fail so miserably when it comes to comfort and weight and also breathability, and they're a bit iffy on price, I can't give them more than 3 stars. But overall, I just absolutely love the shoe, so I'm willing to put up with the fact that they're firm and a little bit heavy and also a little bit overpriced. If you like what you've seen today, please do not forget to give the video a big thumbs up before you leave. Drop any comments below. You can also follow me on Instagram. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.